Good morning, friends. Patrick Clark, joined by Brian Friend, Con Porter, and Ali Scudds. Yesterday I said brains, brawn, beer gut. Now we got beauty. So
I was hoping for brawn.
Brawn? Well, you have been beefing up a little bit.
A little bit of all of it.
A little bit, yeah, and all encompassing. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for getting up so early to join us this Saturday morning. It's moving day. Before we move on, I just want to say this wouldn't be possible without Boss Basics. It's the go-to footwear and gear shop for the everyday CrossFit athlete. Awesome selection, believe me, go to the website. Free and fast shipping within the U.S. Con, again, sorry.
Every time, breaks my heart every time.
And exceptional customer service, believe me. Try them out today at shopboxbasics.com. And for a limited time, get 20% off your order when you use the code
FRIEND
at checkout. Again, use the code FRIEND at checkout. And here we are, we're at Paper Street Coffee. Make sure you swing by and get some coffee. They have some great deals going on. Coffee, free refills throughout the whole weekend. All right, we're gonna jump right into this. Last night we had cuts, cut down to 30 on the men, on individuals, men and women, and the team side. Right off the bat, who are you surprised with?
Yeah, I'm going to look at the men's side here. I think there's more surprising names on the men's side than the women's side. Four in particular, Cole Sager. I just want to start with him because this ends 10 years of an incredible career. We know that he's going to be transitioning into a coaching role primarily in the upcoming seasons. I saw him on the floor after that. I could tell he was emotional and just soaking it in. So we won't have Cole Sager this weekend. Another Cole Grieshaber, who I think a lot of people were expecting to make a big improvement this year after his semifinal performance, but he's going to end up with a very similar result on the leaderboard. Alex Vigneault, who's had variable results over his career, but by far the biggest surprise is Jason Hopper.
Yes.
Coming in 31st, missing out on the cut line by 5 points. He was in the top 10 last year. A lot of people are talking about him as top 5 this year, maybe a podium finish, and we will only get to see him do half the competition.
So you talked about the men. Allie, were there any women that surprised you right off the bat?
Yeah, right off the bat, Matilda Garnes and Fee Sagafi were the two that really stuck out to me. All of these competitors, they dedicate their life to this, so it's a bummer to get cut for sure. Those were the two names that stuck out to me. Matilda Garnes, she was top 20 last year, and a veteran games competitor. And then Fee, we've seen here a couple times, and this was kind of like her breakthrough year. And I was on the demo team with her a couple years ago, so it was sad to see her to not make it.
Yeah, again, those are some big names that we've lost that are no longer moving on. But however, let's just transition over to the teams. Yep. What did you think of today's? We actually had a really competitive, very fun day on the team competition.
Yeah, it was a very mixed day for the teams. I think it was a cool day. We had obviously the total to start with, a 5K team run, and then we had the high skill piece with the conditioning added in there, but obviously having to hold those handstands and the top of the ring dip. I think you're looking at those kind of top 3, or the top 4 even, they're the teams that we expected to see at the top, that pointy end of the leaderboard. East Nashville down there in 3rd. They've kind of had, first and seconds with a couple of blowouts on those single modalities. So I think look for them to kind of make a big push to kind of fight for that top spot. But Invictus have just been so consistent across the whole weekend. Their finishes, they've kind of gone sort of with every single one, even when they've had a poorer finish, it's still been top 10. It's still been competitive. So I don't know. I think they're going to be hard to knock off. There's a huge amount of points for them to have to make up to fight for that first place. And I just think with the way the team's competition looks, because that top 4 is so clearly kind of rotating through there, I just don't see them finishing low enough down the leaderboard that it's going to be a tight race.
Yeah, before we start off and talk about racing, Tim Paulson. What about that? As expected, Tim Paulson went full send on that. I think he did probably 40 calories easily within that minute. I don't know. It was amazing.
That was incredible.
Con, you mentioned something about points.
Yep.
Allie, what do you have to say about that?
There are 400 points on the table for teams tomorrow, and they've only done 5 events so far. And so they're almost doubling the points tomorrow that they've done in the first 2 days. So with the cuts tomorrow, I really believe anything is possible at this point for the teams. So those teams, right along the cut line, I could see some big jumps happening both ways.
Brian, you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, when you look at the slate of events and you see that many points available in one day, you know that a lot can happen. Con said there is a decent lead for Invictus at the top, but for teams that are looking at that, especially a team like Proven that knows that when it comes to the more of the classic CrossFit, not that single modality stuff, that they can hit the home runs, they'll probably be coming in with some confidence to say that they're still in this thing.
Yeah,
go
ahead.
Sorry, we still haven't seen the worm either. It's still an implement yet to come out on the team side. So I think as we start to get more like using that kind of stuff, I think that's where they'll really start to excel as well.
For sure, yeah. They've had a lot of those single modalities with the bike and the run and the lift. So I think it's really going to get jumbled.
It looks like we did all the single modalities for those teams, so that way they can, now we have the teams that now they're throwing that teamwork aspect into this. That's like their reward, because we are actually going to see the bob and the
worm in the same event, and synchro for muscle ups.
Yeah, wow. I mean,
So,
it doesn't get more team
quite an
heavy.
event.
Yeah, it doesn't get more team heavy than that. 4 events there. We just last night, right at the end of close of business last night, the final event. We knew of 2 events for Saturday, and the third one, which we all thought would probably be gymnastics. Nah, maybe not so much. Allie, tell us what you think about that workout.
Yeah, this thing looks super spicy. Only had a couple seconds to check it out, but power output and speed of the burpees I think is going to be key here. It is 2 separate intervals, but 1 score for total time. And so the athletes that can go out there and just hammer the burpees and the row, there is a little bit of machine on there, but yeah, I think that's going to be kind of a crazy day. And they're, like Brian was mentioning, I think can be some athletes that can have 3 home runs on these events, and so that could really shake up the leaderboard with the max lift and the run.
Let's talk about that workout.
Just want to mention about this workout that a lot of times Boz likes to throw these kind of 2-parters at the athletes, but in the past they've been scored as separate events. Here, if you come out hot on one, but you can't back it up in the second half, it's your total time. So you have to prove within this one workout, not just ability to be good once, but recover and do it again if you want to have a top score.
I think he's learned from the whole idea that there's so many times when you do have that, it's actually almost, you can game it and send one of the events to then take a kind of lower finish on the next one, and it actually works out to be better. There is a little bit of strategy. I still think with this one, you've just got to go. I think it's going to reward those that are willing to roll the dice. And I think that's going to benefit the athletes in the later heats. You're going to see a couple of guys that just absolutely send it from the start when you get a pretty solid idea of how that pans out towards the end.
Is there a particular athlete you have in mind, just first look at that? Men or women?
Sure. I think for the men, particularly Roman. For the women, I'm going to go with both Laura and Annie. They're both just super powerful athletes. I mean, Laura's just been so impressive on those kind of raw capacity tests so far, so I think she'll be pretty bloody good at that.
I could see Emma Carey doing well on this one too. Just, I know she's likes those quick events, and she can really pull the machines, so I could see her doing well. And
she loves burpees too.
She loves burpees. She crushed that one at semis. And then, of course, my girl Alex Kazan, I think she has a really good shot. She's one of the best rowers I've seen, and she likes to
grind it out.
Exactly.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, most of the women that these guys have mentioned are up towards the top of the leaderboard, but they haven't mentioned the top 2. Emma Lawson and Alexis Raptis are looking phenomenal, throughout the weekend. Alexis is coming off her first win of the weekend, despite having mostly top 5 finishes. And the fact that she was able to rebound from a nearly last place with the first place says a lot about her mental fortitude. In a test that's going to require you to dig deep, especially in that second interval, I think she might have another strong one.
Yeah,
totally.
Absolutely.
I think events like that, where it's not a clear, oh, this person's definitely going to crush it. It's oh, I don't know. We could see really anybody. What makes the games really exciting in certain events like that.
For sure.
Speaking of crushing it, we've had 6 individual events, right? All right. Up to this point, who's been crushing it for you? Just top of, who's
Shout out again to my boy Jay Crouch, sticking with the boys down
Some
under.
Aussie love.
As I said, I think I just want to reiterate everything. I'm just going to say the same thing I said yesterday. He's such a quality athlete, and it's been a long time coming for him to have a breakout year. He has just looked so solid on everything. I think we've seen enough of a range of tests. I know he's not going to be a top finisher on the Olympic lifts, the total, but everything else, he seems so consistent and so solid, not going crazy, but just finishing where he needs to, which is what he's always done, even at a semi-final level. And if he can just keep that going, man, I'd love to see him stay in that top 5. But he's been a real standout for me.
How about you, Allie?
Yeah, again, I got to shout out my girl, Alex Kazan. She had a great day today, looking like it was going to be a first place finish on the alpaca. We had some shoe issues, but still was able to get that 3rd place finish. And I know that she wasn't feeling like super stoked about the sandbag event, and then just went in there and took an easy 2nd place. So that was pretty exciting, and I think she's just going to have a great day tomorrow. She's an incredible runner. She's one of the strongest women in CrossFit, so I think that clean and jerk, she's going to get to show off a little bit, and she has been really working her snatches too. Like, I've been seeing her super consistent, and then that last one's going to be fun. And another standout, I don't know her that well personally, but Alexis Raptis has just been shining, like just like Brian was mentioning before. So it's a really exciting day.
Before we get to Brian and who surprises him, how much does confidence play a big part in those big jumps, especially for Alex and Jay?
Oh, massive. And it's one of those things where if you can have a really solid start to the competition, and maybe you have been sort of knocking on the door and maybe not had that in the past, you can ride that confidence so well, particularly at the halfway point in the tests, particularly going into Saturday. You've seen the competition. You can already see on the other side of that coin where you've seen people that maybe aren't having the games that they envisioned, and their performances are sort of consistently dropping off as well. And I think that's the difference between the veterans and those guys that are kind of maybe newer to the sport. But yeah, confidence is everything coming into that kind of back half of the competition.
Yeah, not only confidence, but I think just like the steadiness of the weekend. And obviously when you're doing well, it's a little easier to have that steadiness because you're having the highs, but maybe not as low as lows. And so I saw Alex earlier, and she just was just like, yep, another day, like didn't even look tired, just eating her peaches. And so I think just that level of like ease.
Was she wearing her, if you guys haven't seen it, she's wearing basically, it looks like a throw rug with, you know.
No, she was. I don't think Madison was the quite the right climate for that. But yeah. So I think just having the confidence, and then also just like trusting in your fitness, and just being that like even keeled and not getting so emotional, because those emotions really do take a toll on you. And as an athlete, that's way easier said than done. You know, if you're having a hard time, it's hard to like fight that, but you just have to keep doing your job. It's kind of like something that I always say. So she's definitely doing that.
Brian, so who's crushing it for you, in your opinion?
Well, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to pick a couple.
Okay, all right. Well, it's a show.
I'm going to start with two veterans, one on the men, one on the women's side. Jamie Simmons.
Yeah.
Haven't seen her, do this well in a while. She's managed every workout really well. I was concerned about the pig. She didn't win it, but she did great for what I thought. Same thing with the gymnastics and pretty much everything across the board. Brent Fikowski on the men's side in a similar spot after what was surely a year that he was not happy with last year. He's in the top 5 right now, and for the rest of the field, like, you don't like seeing a guy like that up there because he's so good at managing the totality of what the CrossFit Games is. And I got to go with 2 rookies, Yella Hoste and Bailey Martin are both inside the top 10 right now. In the lead up to the CrossFit Games, I was saying this might be the year we don't see any rookies in the top 10. Halfway through, we got 2 up there, and it's not a mistake. These tests have been hard, and those guys have shown that the fitness that they come in with is relevant against the best in the world.
Absolutely. Particularly with the 5K tomorrow, I think we're going to see Yella do well on that one as well. Yeah. So yeah, those boys are doing very, very well.
Somebody we also haven't talked about that I was just checking in the top 10 is Bethany Flores. Comeback story of the year, I think. And she is, just like you were saying with Jamie, I feel like she's just managed these workouts super well. She's, I think, one of the best runners in CrossFit, and so she's really going to shine there. I'm not sure how she'll do on the lift, but I know before semis, I heard her say she had never snatched above 125 and then went out and hit like 175 or something. So
well, not this year. Yeah.
This year. Yes.
Never.
Yes.
That's
not
a huge PR. No, we know that.
And then I think also on that last event, now that I'm thinking about it, I think she could really make some moves on that last event too. So that's somebody else who's really shining.
Yeah. Well, Brian, you've been on your feet all day.
All day, every day.
All day, every day. I mean, what are you wearing?
Oh, of course. You guys know I'm wearing the Hayes trainers from Strike Movement. It's all I've worn since last year's CrossFit Games. And if you want to get a pair, you can find them on Box Basics website. They carry Strike Movement along with Tier, Reebok, Innovate, and Nike. Low cost, free shipping, like PC said, inside the United States. Easy to work with company. Appreciate their support.
Yeah, they've been great. Con, where are you going to be today? It's Saturday. Where are you going to be?
I actually have no plans today except to watch some fitness.
So on the sidelines with us.
Yeah, so I'll be in the press section with my iPhone filming BK as he walks off the competition floor, living up to my press expectations. Let's go.
I love that. Allie, what do you got going on today?
I will be behind the lens catching CrossFit Rhino Dogs.
Yep.
Shout out to them. They made a huge leap today from under the cut line and catapulted up to 23rd for
Fantastic.
full sending it on that last event.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. I'll be taking some photos. I'll be walking around. Also, shout out to Tank Fitness who let me hit my squats yesterday. So I'm going to be getting a upper body pump there today. And yeah, I'll see you around.
Oh, that'll be fun. Brian, we know where you're going to be. You've been a busy man. Again, thanks for joining us. Be friendly, our friends.
Why did I clap us?